Impact Driven Entrepreneur, episode 52, Owning It More with Jaya Rose. And my daughter's here just for the intro.
Welcome to the Impact Driven Entrepreneur, the podcast that helps you expand your reach and convert that reach into clients so you can lead your tribe with confidence and create change in the world while living the life you desire. And now your host, certified business coach and consultant, Mariana Ruiz.
Hey there, and welcome back to the Impact Driven Entrepreneur. Today we have guest expert Jaya. She is a speaker, a spiritual business coach, and an essential oil educator and mama. She helps multi-passionate entrepreneurs like you package your magic, speak clearly to the world who you are, what you do, why you're the only one in the world that can do this, and how to create freedom you desire and make a positive impact in the world. Obviously, that's what the show is all about. So I'm so excited to really dive into this topic and explore this with you. Thanks for being on, Jaya.
Yay. Thank you so much. I'm excited.
So tell us a little bit about your journey and how you kind of got started doing this work.
Well, it's funny because we were chatting before and we were like, right, this is the good stuff, because I think something I was talking about is that oftentimes it's not that we don't know our purpose. It's just that we take twists and turns and play small inside of our purpose. So I feel like I've always known what I've been meant to do. And I don't really relate to those questions of do you know who you are? Do you know what you're meant to do here? I've always known that I'm meant to help people. And that's really it. And the thing that I've come to learn is that can look different at different points in my life, where I was using the vehicle of health and fitness and well-being, life coaching and personal training for over a decade. And I just did that. I did that and I did that. And I had very much a cap on my income, even though I worked for myself. So I could have created whatever I wanted, but I had a cap. I only thought about it in one way. I take this many clients. I just knew that it wasn't expandable for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I reached the cap quickly and then continued to make $30,000 for 10 years.
Yeah.
And I didn't even realize, that there was more until I did. and then I completely changed everything. So it's just really fascinating because I feel like we live in this world of people really waking up to their passions and to their purpose and stepping into the online space where so much more is possible. And everybody's story is so unique. And so this is actually what I help people with, is developing their story, because just taking your business online and being an expert at what you do is so not eyeball worthy at this point. People aren't going to follow an expert. They're going to follow a person and their journey and their story. And so this is my version of helping people at this point, is taking all that I've done to build businesses over 15 years and then 3 different brands online, and to really dive into not so much what is your purpose, but how do you talk about it? How do you express it? How do you do it in a way that's unique? And how do you make it clear to the world that only you can do it? Because that is true.
Absolutely.
Right? You're a consultant, you're a business coach, you're awesome at what you do. You also are in a sea of how many? Hundreds of thousands of other business coaches online.
Mm-hmm.
How easy is it to go, oh, I'm not good enough? And I see women doing this all the time. We just play these stories over and over that are saying, I'm not good enough, comparing ourselves to other people. And I feel that I've really found a way to get past that not through saying I'm wrong for doing it, but through diving more into who I am and then using that, using your unique abilities. And it sounds like you've really done that with your rebrand, and you're unique in the way that you can help. There is nobody else who's going to have the same exact outlook as you.
I totally agree. And it's been a process for sure, especially when you the branding stuff on the outside, I feel like was easier way easier, like by milestones easier than the inner work, right? Like the inner work of like, but who really am I? And what is this thing that I keep rejecting over here? Like, right? So is the work that you do the internal and the external, and how do you kind of combine that?
Such a good question. Yeah, I mean, like anything, right? So I'm sure that, well, actually, I'm curious. So when you work with coaching clients, do you have a facet of mindset? Do you touch on mindset?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's the foundation, like I always say mindset. And I also think not just mindset, but energy work too. But I don't do energy work, but I have had it for myself. But I think mindset is the foundation, right? Because the mindset, the thoughts that you're having are a direct, like there's a direct line to what you're doing or what you're not doing every day. So like what the strategy is that you're going to decide to go with, or totally chicken out and not to, right?
Totally. Right. It's what drives us, right? It's what we're driven by. So it's like beliefs, your thoughts, your feelings, those create the actions, and then that creates the results. So we do have to always, and I think anybody who's going to actually help you get results in changing your life, whether it be fitness or health or business, it has to start with mindset. If they don't touch on that, I would probably not hire them. So it's crucial. I would say for me, in terms of my overarching, I have a framework that I use. So I created something called the Soul Aligned Personal Branding Framework. And the reason I call it a framework and not a formula is because I really believe that it can go in all different orders. Like, it's not like you have to do this, but it is kind of progressional. That's what I've seen. There are 4 phases, what I see in personal branding, and then different actions and focuses inside of each phase. And one of those phases is personal power. A whole phase. Like the other ones are brand identity, brand awareness, and brand authority. And they call for very certain focuses. Well, personal power actually is its own whole pillar, but also then it runs inside of each one of them. So it's pretty powerful, because I would say it's like, it's a quarter of it, but kind of more like 80% of it. You know what I mean? And it does weave in. And so in particular, when I work like with clients, say I'm working with someone one-on-one, it just vacillates. And this has always been my gift. When I was a personal trainer for so long, I never planned to work out. And I thought there was something wrong with me. Like I was still in that phase where I wasn't fully accepting my gifts. And I saw other personal trainers, they had like worksheets and they had their little notes they were taking and how much were you lifting? And I could not. Like I couldn't. And not only I couldn't, but I thrived so much doing what I actually did. And if I would have like let go of that little bit of judgment I had for myself that maybe I was doing it wrong, even though I was like a freaking genius inside of what I was doing, I probably would have thrived more. But every single session, someone would come in and I would say, how are you doing? How are you feeling? I would talk to them for 5 to 10 minutes as we warmed up. And then I would intuitively create a workout. And it sounds kind of hippie, like, oh, let's just stretch, but it wasn't. Like I was trained. I knew what the heck I was doing. But I knew that it first of all, it wasn't fun for me. Like I have to be spontaneous or I will get ADD and just space out. So that's how I kept it fun for 10 years. No workout was ever the same. And so I feel like I've taken that. And now that I've really owned, wait a minute, that is not a flaw. That is insane that would be a flaw, right? Like that is a total genius. And so I've taken that, and inside of coaching, that serves me and my clients really well. Because who wants a coach that's like, oh, okay, well, here's our agenda for today. We're going to do it. That's not coaching. It's just straight up not coaching. Exactly. So it's really fluid. I mean, we know what our intention is and like what the results are that we want. But if you have a mindset block, we got to deal with that right now. That's all. And I've had people, because people come to us mirroring where we were. right? Like one of the exercises I have people do is identify what part of you, what phase of you is your soulmate client? Like what phase? Because that's all you need to know. And I often attract people, or have in the past attracted people who were in that phase of not fully owning it. And them being like, I'm sorry, I'm talking about this today. I'm sorry, I'm talking about my relationship when I hired you for brand coaching or business coaching. And I'm like, dude, no, this is perfect. This is so good.
Yeah. I have to say, like, for me, that's been huge with my clients. Like, you cannot not address those things that come to the table. Like, I remember one client, we had done an intensive, and I think it was like our first session with like one-on-one coaching, and her daughter's father died, like in between those two sessions.
Oh God. Okay. That's huge.
Yeah, it's huge. And my background in nursing, like at one point I was doing like grief counseling and like all of that. And so I just like love that opportunity to like address that. And she said the same thing. Like when you said that, I was like, oh my God, that was what she said to me. She said, I feel so bad that I've taken up this whole session to talk about this event. And I'm like, you need to process this. Like, don't think that we can just skip to what are your sales activities this week, right? Like, that's not an appropriate conversation. You have to deal with and process what's going on in your life. And I think that's how coaching is so different than teaching or taking a course or even consulting, right? Because in my consulting work with, doctor's offices and stuff, I'm not talking about that. Right? Like that is not really the work I'm doing. I'm doing more of the implementing with them. And so it's a different conversation. But I think for coaching, like 100%, you need to address the whole person.
I love that. It's so true. And like I said, if somebody's not willing to do that or they don't have the skills, that's fine. But they need to be really conscious of what results you can say you really can get someone, right? Like and there's so much of that going on, and that's whatever, not at all our focus or mine. But I think it is important just to recognize, because I know that I listen to podcasts because I want information, because I want to know more. And so I think it's important for us to like represent that in a good way. And I know that you do, I know you're very much in your integrity, and so am I. And to say that you can just get any results online without doing the inner work is just not true.
Yeah, 100% agree. I want to go back because I noticed like a couple of things. So one of the things that I noticed was you have a framework and like a process, although it's more loose, right? But I think this is an important part of what I call thought leadership. So, and I think you had that in personal training, but you were not fully owning it. So when you went to fully owning it, like what was the difference of owning your own process compared to trying to use someone else's, 3-step worksheet?
Right. Yeah. I think that there's like a huge breakthrough and breakdown, a couple big ones that have happened over time in order to really like get to that next level of, income and impact, but first and foremost, just opportunity to love myself more and accept myself more, because that's what comes first. So I think I've always been somebody who did it my own way. I just didn't fully own that was the right way. Do you know what I mean? So I didn't go online and then start doing people's formulas and thinking I was failing because I couldn't do them. I would just be like, I can't do that. Like I'm so highly sensitive and intuitive that if it doesn't feel right, I will like feel physically sick. I cannot. I just can't. And that's sort of the thing that like I had an inner dialogue around, that I would judge it and think, oh, okay, well, why? Like, why can't you? But I didn't force myself to do anything because I couldn't. So in terms of being online, I would say was the catalyst for really what we say, like I do it in air quotes, like owning my greatness, owning my gifts, owning my magic. And it's been a journey though. So it's like the online space is the catalyst for it because I believe it calls for it. Like we said, right? There's hundreds of thousands of people who, if they were looking you up in the phone book, where it's like dating myself much, as if we have phone books anymore, but remember back when we did, yeah, yeah, right. We would, you would just be under that list, right? Like, we are not special. We are not special in the phone book. And so the online space and your own little corner and what you create for yourself, however you show up on social media with your content, that's your phone book, but also your way of standing out. Like, that's who you are to make yourself unique. And so that forces you to figure out who the heck you are. And if you don't choose to own the really positive parts and you spend any time at all beating yourself up for not being like so-and-so or not doing X, Y, and Z, that's just not going to get you results.
So true. Oh my gosh.
Right? So it's like, I want to say, like, I don't believe in forcing because we choose everything, but like, if you choose it, it forces you. If you choose the online space and you really are committed to going far. So from the very beginning, even when I took life coaching and fitness online, which was 3 years ago, I was like, I'm going to the top. And then I decided to let that go. And I started teaching visibility and video because I'd been using that so much in my fitness business. And I saw a real need for it. Then I was like, I'm taking this to the top. And then I realized, hey, this isn't the whole story. I'm teaching people how to be visible, but I'm not. It's kind of a lie. And then I went deeper and I rebranded and I had a 6-month dark night of the soul experience I just came out of that. And so now here I am. But I would say, like, if your intention is that to go all the way, no matter where you are right now, this is the work to focus on. Is like, and now I just went on a huge, huge rant. And I know that's not the question you asked me, but I would say that's my philosophy around it. And so at every level, there's been a new devil and experience of going deeper and claiming myself even more. Like, if I want to go all the way to the top in this niche, I've got to claim myself all the way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I totally agree. Like, that's not only what's necessary, but it's been like the process, really. Like, that's the work, is every time is like, own it more. Like,
yeah,
really
own it more.
Yourself more. Yeah.
Own it more. Own it more. Like, I'm always like looking out for names for programs, own it more. I love that.
Trademark this.
Yeah. You will see us coming out with this in 6 months.
I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about the sensitivity side, because for me, this is something I have not spoken very publicly about, but I am pretty highly sensitive and intuitive. So for me, doing the one-on-one work, especially with non-ideal clients, was a big problem in the beginning. So what advice do you have for sensitives and people who have, a lot more of the intuition side and like that mirroring?
Yeah. I mean,
really do that work, that one-on-one work. Right.
It's perfect to talk about that inside of this other piece of what we're talking about, really owning it, because that's just another level of who you are and your gifts, right? Like, on the flip side of sensitivity is almost always intuition. So it's really the same coin, but there's two sides. And so it's like, what side are you going to focus on and what side are you going to feed? And so my personal experience with being highly sensitive has been that when I take care of those needs, and everybody's sensitivities are different. For me, it's very physical. Like, I need 8 hours of sleep. When we booked this call, it's 8 a.m. Pacific time. And I know that's not early for most people, but I don't usually get to sleep till about 11:30. And I was cautious of it, but it was fine because I still got 8 hours sleep. But it's like, some people might not need to do that. And that might make me seem like I'm super weird and needy, but it doesn't matter to me because I know that that's how I function best. And so it's like identifying those things that you need and really this is such a good conversation specifically for women, but definitely for men too. But I think we have so much conditioning around asking for our needs and all the layers that are behind that and under that. And it really is just another version of that. And you need it. You need to take care of your sensitivity because it heightens your intuition. Like your intuition is your money. Like that is your gold. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Right. So I think it's like the two-sided coin. Like I said, it's recognizing that your intuition is everything. The more creative, the more in flow, the more in alignment, the better you feel, the more you are going to thrive and attract all the right people to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it really goes back to owning it almost,
Yeah.
right? Like owning what are the
Own it more.
own it more. What are the things that really matter for you? And so how
Yeah.
did you find out that it was the physical and not something else for you?
Yeah, so it is multiple. I am super sensitive to energy as well, but more physical than energetic, where I think some people go more energetic than physical, or, there's just all different variations. So I have known on a deep level that I was sensitive. Like I could identify them, but I didn't know what it was for a long time. I mean, I would say just in the last few years is when I learned the term highly sensitive person, and I took the test, and it was no surprise to me. I knew, like I said, I knew it already. And I always took care of myself. I always took care of my sensitivities. So it was nothing new for me, but it also, I think anytime we have a name for something, or we can like, not commiserate, but like we could like talk about it, right? We're like, oh, you're sensitive, I'm sensitive too. You can like be on the same team with people. It's really helpful when you're owning something. For me, it's obvious that it's physical. I'm just a person who's in my body, hence being a trainer for 12 years. I love fitness and I love feeling good. I need to eat vegetables every day. Like I need a green smoothie every day. I need it. And so maybe I just have conditioned myself that way, but I truly feel weird if I don't eat really well. And if I don't exercise and have time alone. And now as I'm getting older, and this is another thing, is that as I grow my impact and I have more, I do air quotes again, responsibility, because it's responsibility that I choose to have. I look at my, my online following and the content that I create and the people that I know I'm impacting, like that is a responsibility to me. Mm-hmm. And as that grows, so do my sensitivities.
So interesting.
It's so amazing. Yeah. But now I need to meditate, where I know a lot of people meditate and they have been. I didn't need to, because I have a really good mindset. I would kind of do this like, more moving meditation and exercise or yoga. And now it's like, I have to sit still. And when I get out of that, I don't feel good. Like when I get out of that habit. So and I do think that that's probably true for a lot of influencers or, thought leaders, like you said, the more you, right, the higher level you reach, the more self-care you need.
Absolutely. And there's also more flying at you, right? Like,
yeah,
I mean, it is more responsibility, like you're saying, but we are choosing it.
Yeah.
And, maybe that's a topic for a whole other discussion, but definitely there's more coming at us. So we have to really like put up the I don't know if I want to say walls, but almost like just like that, filling your own cup first and then being able to show up fully.
Yeah. And if you're talking about energy, and when you go to an event or even online, it's important to monitor your energy. You're going to get sucked into other people's energy at a very rapid pace. So it's important to have some type of rituals around that, depending on what you need. Maybe you need to do, a 60-second mantra saying before you go on, where you say like, I stay in my center and I focus on me, or whatever. I don't really say that, but, but whatever it is for you, I think it's important to know how off track do you get? Because you need to combat that with that much focus on the other side.
Yeah. I also noticed you said quiet time. For me, that's huge. I'm a huge introvert. So quiet time is huge. And having built my business with two little kids that
Yeah.
were under two was a nightmare. Like, because you don't
Yeah,
have
you had them.
quiet time. Yeah, I had them. Remember, I think the first
Yes.
you do, I was on Blab and I literally had my daughter who's on breathing machines in my lap. But I also, like, it goes back to that commitment you said, right? Like, I knew I was going to do it. There was no doubt I was going to do it, what it took. And that meant having my daughter on lives, even if she was hooked up to machines, like, that's okay. Right. And also, that was really hard because there was a lot of times that I could not have the silence that I wanted and needed. And so when I finally made peace with the fact that I could get daycare and get support with caring for my children, that really changed things in my business and how I showed up.
I bet. And I bet it's no accident that when you did have your daughter on lives with you, you were attracting moms. And I know that was your business at that point, and it makes sense. And then when you're able to get some space from it, you're like, wait, that's not your whole identity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think as a mom, that does tend to happen, right? Is like your identity starts to kind of get wrapped up into the children. So I did have to take some of that time to really just reflect and say, like, who am I and what do I stand for? What are my core values and what do I need? And that was one of them, was silence.
Huge. I mean, those questions you just said right there, what do I stand for? What are my core values and what do I need? I mean, we should just drop the mic and go home. That's so good. And that is what you will be working on for the next 6 months.
Yeah. And those are scary questions. Like, those are scary questions to address, but also
they are
necessary. Like, that is the work. That is really the work.
So true. Ooh, I'm getting chills. So good.
Mm-hmm. So tell us kind of like, so are you still doing training around live video or like more of this work, and kind of how can people connect with you more?
Yeah. So because I did video, for so long, I'm good at it. But I definitely would refer someone away from me I would refer someone to someone else if they just wanted video coaching. Cause like I just have way more to offer than just that. And so it's interesting, as I created this framework for the soul aligned personal branding, video's in there, but it's in the brand awareness section, and visibility is obviously important for your business, but it's like one level of brand awareness. And so when I realized that, when I created all this, I got a huge download on the airplane, actually, which is such a cool place to get downloads. And I was like, there's the framework, this is so cool. And I just basically laid out these 4 phases with, they each have 5 sections underneath them. And these are like the boxes to tick, or the things to focus on it, like I said, at specific times. And so visibility is in there, right? But it's in there at a way later phase than initially. And so I think this is what I had found, kind of like you with the moms. It's like, people have, and not that you don't love moms, because I love moms too, but in the phase you were in, people have to be ready for what you have in order for you to be able to show up in your full potential. And that's the key. It's the key to, you have to say no. You have to say no to people who are not ready for you, and yes to the people who are. And then you really start working in your genius. And that is just, it's crucial. And so, like I said, I would say no to that, because I have so much more to offer. And if I'm not working with people who are ready for what I actually have to offer, then I'm not at my full potential.
Absolutely. And just like we talked about in the beginning, right? Like, if the internal work is not done and we're just focused on, we got to do a video, like that's the whole boat, right? Like the whole time
Totally.
that's even possible.
And that's what I realized, is that I wasn't ever out of alignment. Actually, I was just advertising myself the wrong way. Like I was
Yeah.
saying video, but I have a signature Rock Your Videos course that's now digital, but I taught it 4 times live as a group coaching course.
Mhm.
And it is totally what I'm doing now. It's like, it's all the same stuff. There was, I shouldn't even have called it Rock Your Videos, but I did because that was the ultimate like goal or the ultimate result. But it was about your messaging and about alignment and about, the law of attraction, even. Like it was totally not what I said it was. So I think I'm just doing more of what I actually have always been doing. And in terms of how I actually work with people, because it's really changing. We haven't even
Mhm.
talked about doTERRA, but I started a doTERRA business about 4 months ago, and it is insane and amazing and like so exciting. So things are changing for me because I started asking myself, okay, and like we talked about, like I'm going all the way, right? Like I know that I've been using essential oils for 10 years and I am obsessed with them. The fact that I haven't been sharing essential oils before now is insane to me. So I know I'm going all the way with
Mhm.
them. And there really is no cap with them, their earning potential, but the top um, leaders make 1.3 million a year,
Mhm.
125,000 a month.
Mhm.
And I'm like, well, okay, I can do that. I can do that like in a couple of years. So it's really, really interesting to me because it's that literally this is a whole nother conversation, and I would be happy to talk about network marketing all day long, because I had huge blocks against it. But as I've opened myself up to it and what it actually is, like the truth behind it, I'm like blown away. And I started asking myself, okay, you say you're doing what you love, but what if you were financially free? Then what would you want to do?
Mhm.
And so I'm just starting to hold myself to that standard now because I know that's how we create. Like that's how I'm going to get there, is to do it now.
Mhm.
And so I've been asking myself, and so I'm even more refining. This has to feel like of highest service, and it has to flow, and it needs to be easy. So I just opened the doors to an intimate mastermind called Rise. And
Mhm.
I even like prayed before. I was like, just make this easy. Like, like I'm not going to do it if it's not easy. And I think that it's so easy to get into that like struggle online of promoting, and it can feel kind of like a drag to make an offer. At least for me, it has. It's because I'm sensitive and I feel all the energies of everybody and their resistance and, their money blocks and all the things. And I'm just like, oh God, no. So then it's been easy. Like 2 women joined yesterday. It's only been open for like 2 days. So it's a matter of that for me at this point, is just doing things that are like really, really aligned and bringing in high level women who are, and what I mean by high level is they're just ready to go. They're ready, and they're going to really leverage it, right? Because isn't that what we want more than anything with our business?
Mhm.
It's like, I'm laying this out for you. This is my best work I've ever done. Like, if you're not ready for that, then you're not going to get the most out of it.
Yep. Especially when we are talking about these frameworks and this thought leadership stuff, right? Like these
Yeah.
don't come like overnight. This is like
Right.
years of experience and thinking about it and rethinking about it and then like throwing it down and picking it back up, right? Like so that I totally agree with you. It's like we
Yeah.
want our people to like run with it and
Yeah.
take it to the full potential.
Right.
A million
And
percent.
that's up to us to curate it that way. Like one of the gals yesterday who I talked to, and she signed up at the end, I said, I just want you to know my sacred word to you is that I never sell anything for money. And I know that sounds weird. It's not a money mindset hang up, because I'm happy to receive the money. And I know that to survive, we all need, to survive and thrive, we need money. So that's really awesome. But I don't say yes only because of money. I say yes because it's in alignment. And then I say yes to the money. And so I just feel like such a responsibility to take care of people who say yes and who are ready. And that cultivates that environment. Versus like, oh, there's two people who are kind of dragging it down, but I took them because they paid me.
Exactly. Totally agree.
Yeah. So that's big. Anyway, that was such an in-depth answer, but yeah,
So
I think,
good.
yay. Okay,
I
good.
Yeah, like I could talk to you all day.
Yay.
So tell us a little bit more about where people can connect with you. And I think like final question I want to ask you, one more question and then we'll wrap up. What is one thing that people can do today to get them a little bit closer to fully owning it?
Own it more. You know, I think everything comes from asking the right question. And so often we're looking for answers, but we aren't truly asking ourselves the question. So this is a really cool exercise that I started doing through my own dark night of the soul and my own owning it more process. And it just came to me intuitively, but I'm happy to share it. It's journaling and being my own coach. And so I think we get these, we get stuck, and we get stuck because we're looking for the answer we haven't asked the question to. And so this is a really cool way to just get through that process. So what you do is you just sit down with all the feelings that are coming up, just allow it, you know, to be there and to come out. And then instead of just writing down what's going on for you, and basically you're just writing the answers, you know, write the questions. What is the question? What is a question you have right now? What am I supposed to do? What would it look like if I only did what I loved? What do I love? And it's amazing because it'll take you through a series of just answers that you would never have come to had you not asked yourself that question. And so the way that I do it, it's just very loose and intuitive. And I ask a question and I write it down the answer. And then another question, I sit and I just wait for the next question to come. And then I write that down and then I answer it. So that would be a cool exercise. Yeah. And maybe it's one question you come up with, or sometimes for me, it's a whole process, you know, like 10 questions.
Love it. And so it's all about getting us to look at what questions we're asking the right question, and also being able to get that download.
Totally. Like giving enough space to really see what you are asking. Because I know women well, and we want the answers and we want them now, you know, and we think we are so capable. We are such incredible beings. And it's sometimes the best step to take is to back up a little bit and allow more space. And a lot of times this comes with the questions instead of just like acting like we know everything, right? Or acting like we want to know everything.
Love it. Okay, thank you. So tell us where people can find you, how we can stalk you and watch all your videos.
Yay. I am rocking my Instagram stories these days, like super into them. They're really fun. And I do a really good mix of like behind the scenes and my family and business inspiration. And then I will also throw my offers up on there so people know what I'm doing and what's available. And so, and I share a lot of essential oil, like daily use stuff of just like, for example, I just had this sinus headache, and I'm going to do a whole little series on what I did to get through a sinus headache really way faster than it would be if I hadn't used the oils. So stuff like that is on there. So Instagram, I am the Jaya Rose. And then Facebook friend is cool, but you might want to just follow because I don't have hardly any space left for actual friends. But I do my most intimate lives there. And I just probably won't ever stop doing them there because that's where I started doing them. And I don't know, it's just like home to me. So I'm going to do a live today that's feeling very inspired, and it might be a little bit edgy. I think I'm going to entitle it, "This Might Lose Me Followers." Something like that. And it's all about women and the way they're addicted to guilt. So that's going to be good. And then another really great place is Facebook. So if you find me on Facebook, I'm Jaya Rose. and I have a red shirt on. That's my personal page. Then when you click on that on my actual profile, you can join my Facebook group, and in my cover photo, you just click on it, and then there's the link behind it, and it's the Multi-Passionate Hub. And I do free weekly trainings there every Wednesday at 1:30 p.m. That's Pacific time. So.
Yay, thank you so much. I can't wait to share this episode with everybody. And thanks for spending the time with us this afternoon,
Thank
early
you.
morning.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much. This was really fun and such a good conversation.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Head on over to impactdrivenentrepreneur.com, where you can find an arsenal of videos, blog posts, and previous podcast episodes to help you increase your profit and impact. Again, impactdrivenentrepreneur.com, and click on blog. Enjoy.